Welcome back, Liches! Today we are reviewing 5th edition fantasy number 2, The Fae Sisters' Fate. From Goodman Games, written by Chris Doyle.
This adventure came out in 2014 with 5th edition, an adventure created for first level.
This is intended to be sort of like a starter adventure, right? Is it better than the starter sets that Wizards is putting out? We're gonna dig in and find out what these Fae Sisters are hiding.
I was the DM for this adventure with another group of mine. Wolf here played it as a player with a different group as well. So we have some different perspectives of how to run this, as well as the experiences of being a player.
Coming in at what, 22 pages, I believe?
22 pages.
Very small, slender little tome here. 22 pages, and one of those pages is credits and the open gaming license for 5th edition. The back page is actually some maps. So about 20 pages, not very intimidating. Goodman Games is known for having really awesome writers on their staff, and they are also known for having incredibly evocative art, especially with their Dungeon Crawl Classics product line. You're gonna get very old school TSR style module, black and white pen and ink artwork. This is very sword and sorcery, very pulpy. That is the style of artwork found within this little adventure module. So know that going in, that's what you're getting.
This adventure is a Fae woodland adventure. We start in the town of Burr Hollow, and Burr Hollow is surrounded by the Briarwood, a thick, dense, mystical wood filled with very spiky, sharp briarwood. Even the trees are spiny and spiky. It's very difficult for land creatures and land people to move through. This is why it's very much railroaded.
Keeps you on tracks.
If you try to venture into the wood, oh man, it takes twice as long and it hurts. But the town of Burr Hollow is your typical D&D town. It has a mayor, and the mayor sends you on a quest to find out where their town's guard has gone. Those guards have been gone for a week. Mayor's worried, and so he sends the party on their adventure.
That's where we come in to murder hobo our way to success.
This adventure is very unexpected. It starts very typical. They are thinking they might be jumping into the normal fighting bandits, fighting goblins, but it's got some great twists in here.
And there's lots of opportunity for role-playing,
Totally.
combat, there's some puzzly things in here. There's not a ton of exploration.
No.
That's kind of, I would say that's kind of a weakness.
You could add it in on your own, the exploration.
It mentions that.
It does mention that in here. If you're a player, you are going to stop here because spoilers are coming, and we want to break down this adventure for the DM. We're going to be helping the DM run this for you, so get lost.
Hey, players out there, send this video to your dungeon master. Let them know that you're interested in trying out this 5th edition fantasy, The Fae Sisters' Fate.
The first main NPC character is the mayor. What is the mayor's name?
Patrick Cullen.
Patrick Cullen, that's
He's
right.
the brother of Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen.
There's an entire monologue for him to start the adventure in here. Exactly what he's telling the party. You can use it or not. I just kind of gave a basic summary of what he said. You can play him how you want. There's nothing specific in here. He's kind of a sub-character. As we get into the woods, as we get into the willow tree, we get our first main character, Lorelei. She sends you on the real quest.
The Hamadryad.
And the Hamadryad and gives you a lot more of the answers. She is also not acting like she normally would. She is distraught. Her sister is dead, and she knows it, and she can't do anything about it. She is
She's attached to a tree.
Yeah, she literally can't leave.
And there's not a ton of stuff telling you how to roleplay her, but if you read between the lines, it's all there.
Yes.
It's all there to really piece together and make a really fleshed out character.
And we've got Melina.
She's immediately more in charge than anyone in your crappy group, probably.
Oh God, yes.
She's ordering people around, like doesn't take any crap.
Who are you and where are you from? I'm on the defensive already.
Yeah, she's got that Princess Leia sort of.
Yeah, get this walking carpet out of my way.
Yep. Yeah, I love that about her. And we got Gruac.
Gruac. Sounds like a frog noise. I love it. He is the frog folk shaman, the leader of this operation, and henchman to the Dark Lord, who sent him on this task. This task is begrudgingly unbearing.
It's like beneath him.
From his backstory, if you're in the middle of your campaign, his backstory is great to incorporate, where he's just this henchman of a bigger evil. and he is reluctant to be on this mission. He is demoted. Assaulting the Briarwood was not part of his master plan, and so he is disgruntled here. So come across that way as you're acting with your players. As he's popping in and out and throwing things, he's just like, go away, just frustrated. You're not meant to be here. I'm not meant to be here. Get lost. Really play into his struggle with his own mission here.
He strikes me as the type of guy that's just going to save his own skin.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many bodies he throws. It's just like, results, whatever.
Yeah.
Just truly evil.
I feel like he would try to get out of there if things were looking bad.
Yeah, he'd be a fun character to sort of slip away.
Yeah.
If you wanted to sort of continue this. That's all the important NPCs. I'm actually very jealous. These are my kind of NPCs. They're very fun to play.
I myself ran this as a one-shot. I ran it at 5th level. It is designed to run at 1st level. Burr Hollow is where we start. Our typical D&D town. It is your decision whether to start here or not. I didn't start here. Because I was running a one-shot, I omitted this to save time. They were already sent on this adventure by the mayor. I started them in the forest on the way to their first adventure, had them describe their characters in the middle of the woods traveling.
My DM, when we played through this, as soon as we got to the river, it was weird.
Yeah.
He played up the eeriness of this slow, muddy, sort of trickling river.
You have to build the tension here.
We went into full murder hobo mode almost immediately because we were scared out of our minds. We were 1st level. We're not dying. We're going to approach everything with the utmost caution.
The area that the players are led to is the Weeping Willow. I really dialed up the atmosphere here and the eeriness, that they were coming into an area that should have been lush forest wood, briarwood. The trees were starting to look like they were dying. This weeping willow was on its last leg, and there were only a few willow branches hanging left. The players come up across some guardsmen. These town's guard are effectively brainwashed. They are charmed to protect the hamadryad at the tree. The hamadryad at the tree is asleep and pretty much has these guys on autopilot to protect her. I wanted a situation where the players thought they might have to attack these guys, but also knew that maybe they shouldn't. I wanted them to be on that fence. This is exactly what you want here. It doesn't have to go combat, and it's okay if it goes combat. So what happened with your group?
We staked this place out for hours, and these guys didn't move. And when we started talking to them, it was not normal. We may have murdered them all.
Yeah.
So we kill them, and then Lorelei was like, you've killed my guard. Now you're my bitches.
Yeah.
I need your help. Otherwise, really bad stuff is going to happen. She painted this very dire situation, explained what was happening to the river, and that if we didn't fix what was happening to the river, it was going to soon affect Burr Hollow.
Oh, that's interesting. When someone got close enough to wake her up, I kind of played it that they couldn't see her. She looked like part of the tree.
Wakey, wakey.
When they realized what she was and who she was, the party started to talk to her. At that point, she did try to charm them, and I really liked this mechanic because it says within Lorelei's text that she has spells and checks and saving throws at disadvantage because she's weak.
She's a fully statted out character.
So she did attempt to charm the party in the same way that she had charmed goblins to do her bidding, charmed the town's guard to do her bidding, but it fails on a lot of the party. And then I had her just go, sigh like, I give up. I'm sorry for subverting you. I'm sorry for lying, but I'm desperate, and I need your help. She sends you to look for the leader of the guard. As the party ventures out of this area, they start the Overland journey. The Overland journey is broken up into a few sections along the river. I feel like this could be played in any order, honestly. They're basically just little subplots, interactions, encounters along the way, and none of them really have any heavy weight on the main plot of this. This is where you can start expanding for your experienced players.
Or you can cut stuff out if you want to make it shorter, right?
First encounter is pesky pests. This one is just a whole buzzing bunch of giant mosquitoes. What did your group gonna run into during this?
We didn't hear them right away. So they were able to sneak up on us, and I think the rogue almost got like every ounce of blood sucked out.
Oh no!
The fun thing about the mosquitoes is once they suck enough blood, they fly away.
Yeah,
it's a very basic combat encounter.
It is. There's not much more explained about it other than you just walk into this area and
It was fun.
Yeah, I added a little bit to this where I kind of added a nest.
Well, your players are higher level.
Yeah, I used the same creatures. They were kind of a low level, so I just made a swarm of them for 5th level. Like, I knew they were going to be able to take these guys out, like, real quick. So I really just kind of, like, hid them in trees and had some out in the open, so they looked like they were a few, but when they started attacking without being cautious, just got swarmed. But, you know, feel free to throw things in here that aren't in the book, spice things up for your experienced players. I feel like the combats along the river, try to come up with ways that your players can subvert it as well. Try to let your players subvert these things.
And there's one encounter in here with a bear.
Yeah.
And we were able to not kill that thing.
Yep.
There are these, naiads? These little, like, face sprite creatures.
It traveled through the woods. It's full of briar cuts. The naiad tells you of a lake that has been cut off from the river because of the low flow. Leads you to his little naiad home, where the other naiads are kind of pissed off because there's a bear who's decided to fish in this lake. This bear is...
he's wounded, he's angry. My warlock was able to cast some sort of illusion spell to make like a wounded deer or pack of wounded deer appear or something and scamper off into the woods. And
super great.
And, DM was like, cool, perfect. He leaves the area. And
the naiads give you pearls and you're on your way.
Again, they're little side quests along this railroad, right? That's kind of how this thing is designed.
Looks like the last stop along the overland journey is the giant frogs on a mud flat. They can swallow smaller creatures. They can jump around. They are in cover while they're in the mud, so they have like +2 to their AC, plus they are camouflaged while they're in the mud, so the players probably won't see them right away coming across them, right?
Nope.
Nice little surprise. They got latched on by their sticky tongue and pulled into the mud.
Or into their mouths if you have a little halfling like we did.
Yeah. I feel like if you killed a couple of those giant mosquitoes and brought them with you, you could subvert this by feeding them mosquitoes.
Absolutely. These were all fun combat encounters. They were very simplistic. My dungeon master ran them almost exclusively in Theater of the Mind.
Cool.
They all worked perfectly. They were fast. We kept moving through that river, eventually reaching its penultimate conclusion of what is causing this terraforming that's going on. Because it's not just that the river is like stagnant and slow, right? The whole place is turning into like a bog.
Main beat in the story, after that nice little overland journey, they come across the Earthen Dam. There are a group of frog folk who have turned this area into marshland by damming up the river. The frog folk are led by a frog folk taskmaster, who is basically the driver to keep everyone working on the dam and building it. And this is where we find Melina. The town's guard can either be working or restrained on the side. I had mine just in a group restrained. Kind of made it interesting. Once the party got here, they rushed to them first to free them to help with the rest of the combat, because I made it a lot more difficult in my game. Taskmaster kind of acts like this little sub-boss.
Yeah, he's like a mini-boss.
Yeah. Everyone else was getting captured. I played this encounter that his orders were to capture. Capture that one, the big one, and bring him in. Start to carry them up if they knocked them out. I love how they describe him in this, just like bulbous rolls of fat and like...
He's got they say he uses his tongue as a whip.
Yeah.
The descriptions
His leathery tongue is a whip.
Yeah. The descriptions in this are great.
When you're outdoors doing outdoor encounters, you can play with lighting, and it was becoming dusk at this point, and it was becoming night. So I made the whole area dim light, which really affected their approach. They kind of stealthily approached some frog folk below the dam that were fishing along the stream. It changes the encounter.
Oh, totally.
This is a much more important encounter. I wanted it to be important. You know, I made it more difficult by giving the frog folk equipment. I gave them some nets. Some had torches, so that that dim light wasn't effective near them. A lot of the frog folk were kind of providing light for the taskmaster as he came out and fought. And these guys, they can jump around with bonus actions. It's so fun to use them.
They really feel like frog people.
Yes, this is not something that came out of 5th edition, and they're a lot more versatile. You thought you were going to attack and kill something. No, it disengages. It could hop straight up onto the dam if it were 15 feet high. It really makes the combat interesting, exciting.
There's that verticality. I remember that being in our encounter. The town's guard can get caught in the crossfire if you're not careful. And that taskmaster, he reminds me of like a Battletoad. I don't know.
Yes.
Like,
oh God, yeah.
Like Rash, Pimple, or Zitz or something. That's the vibe I was getting in my head.
It's so Battletoad.
That's one thing I loved about this is, as a player, everything sort of makes sense. And reading through this module, they thought of everything.
They did, yeah.
There's actually a reason for everything existing in this little world.
At least like 1 or 2 steps away, and no further.
And if it's not there, it tells you to take it upon yourself to expand upon it, which is great advice.
We have found the guardsman. We think that the mission is over. Now we kind of have to make sure that someone is alive in this situation, DMs. No, son, seriously, if you want to continue with the rest of the adventure, Melina needs to be alive or one of the guards people, and you got to make sure that one of those happens. Melina commands the town guard to break the dam. But then she also mentions she wants to exact vengeance on the leader of these frog folk and to retrieve her family heirloom that he has stolen from her.
It leads you to, there's like a tree nearby that has some, there's like an underground tunnels and stuff. You actually learn about the Fae sister.
Yes.
You learn the fate of the Fae sister and that she has been murdered by these frog folks.
Coralie.
Yes. And she's turns into like an acorn.
If one of the players goes up to this tree, they find the acorn. It's glowing, so it's almost obvious. This tree area that you're on has been turned into a tree house for the frog folk. Okay. They've covered it in their crap. And there are 3 levels to this tree.
Now, this is the Hamadryad Sisters tree, right?
Yes, this is the Hamadryad Sisters tree. This is basically Coralie dead.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, they've like built a home in their carcass, poor thing.
Yep.
And they're perched and they're just shooting poison darts at you. It's great because you're going to have your marshals trying to climb and you're going to have your rangers picking. Great encounter.
And then it leads you to the tunnels beneath the tree, right?
Yes, it finally turns into a dungeon.
Yeah, there's like a little mini dungeon underneath this dead dryad's tree, essentially.
Yes.
The map for this in the book is not great.
It's horrible.
It's really small.
There is a trap before you enter that you
yeah.
have to kind of pass, and then there are some giant...
Oh, the lizards.
Yeah.
They're chained up.
Yes.
And you can try to pick them off from afar, but then they get really mad and they'll break the chains and come after you. Really great. Then you get in there and there's like creepy zombified frog people.
Yes.
Those were freaky. It gets really weird once you get beneath this tree.
Yeah, you make it dark in here.
Yeah.
Make it eerie, especially smells. Focus on smells.
Yeah.
Because Gruac is down here, the frog necromancer, essentially.
Yeah, this weird shaman.
He has very specific spells.
They're made up
from
this. They're in the back of this adventure. Stench bolt.
Stench bolt.
Something else.
Oh my God, stench bolt, man.
If it hits you, he's creating 10-foot radius of disadvantage that lasts for a minute.
Yeah.
So they're lasting us essentially the entire combat. He's just making little stank spots and if it misses the creature, it affects an area.
The player can easily move out of them, but the player is slowly running out of space to maneuver in, which is really kind of fun. You're going to want to throw those frog folk zombies in here. Make sure your shaman is popping in and out to cast his spells. Be mischievous with him. This guy was really fun to build up, and when they knock him out and kill him, start spilling the beans about the head honcho,
Yep. Or you find his little manifesto and his diary or whatever. It's vague enough. There's enough where you can build upon it. If you would like to make this as just the beginning of it, you could literally use this little 22-page adventure module and you could start a whole campaign with it.
You could.
You really, really could. That's how well written it is. It's really kind of impressive. In our group, when we played through this, Melina actually died.
Oh my God, yes.
She didn't make it out alive. Module actually takes that into account because it's like, this probably happened in playtest. So you have to deal with the ramifications of that. And it's kind of interesting what happens. And essentially she's half dryad.
She's the third sister.
When she dies, she is going to be reborn as a Hamadryad. So it works out.
And that's it. That's the entirety of the adventure. The players can go back to Lorelei and give her Coralie's seed and replant it. If Melina dies, then you can give her Melina's seed as well, and the 3 of them can all be together. Melina's secret has been uncovered. The player can continue from Burr Hollow.
Make sure you got some town folks to bring back to the
Please, yes.
Burr Hollow.
Make sure they made it back safe.
So that you can still be viewed as heroes even if you murdered the initial 3.
And get
wink,
paid.
Wink.
I think it's wonderful. I think they do a great job of flow of running this. God, it was so easy. It was so easy to run this. I just page for page. I wasn't jumping around. Everything I needed was right in front of me. Creature stats, motivations. It's all plainly spelled out.
The layout of the book is
So good.
incredible. Really, really great job. But I do love how the creatures are right there in the adventure where you need to run them. They're not in the back. They do give you in the back of the book a couple new spells. You get a new background, which is the Born Leader background, which this lady on the front is Melina. And there's a couple magic items. You get a little appendix with some nice, neat little things.
I would love to give the players the ability to learn some of Gruac's abilities.
Oh,
maybe he had like his scroll book on him.
Sure, yeah. I would maybe not make Stenchbolt a cantrip.
Maybe not. No way.
Maybe a first level spell.
Yeah. And if you miss, it doesn't work. Right?
Yeah, yes. If it's going to be a cantrip, it has to be able to miss. It makes sense for a boss to have that, but maybe he knows a little bit more about the stench bog than your little level 1 wizard.
It was given to him by Baba Yaga.
Bugbebills.
So as for difficulty of running this adventure, I found it to be super duper easy, and in sections, I made it more difficult on myself. I really did. I could have done Theater of the Mind for those Overland journey combats, and I should have. But as for the rest of the adventure, it's so straightforward. It's great. It's great for new players, and it's refreshing and feels new for experienced ones.
We're going to go through the pros and cons of this adventure module real quick. Kamo, what do you got for pros here? What are your favorite things about this adventure?
Man, there's not much I don't like about this adventure. It's easy, good for all sorts of players, or all types of players. It can be thrown in a campaign, it can be started with. Those are the strongest points. Good character development in here, and great opportunities for your players to add backstory things in here. I really don't think much was missing, because they really covered their bases. Like, if there's one story beat, they have one explanation for it, right? So there is an earthen dam, and the player's like, how the hell did a bunch of frog folk make this? They had an ogre runt to help them. It even went so far to be like, oh, when they meet the ogre runt, why is he there? Why is he separated from his group, from his tribe? And gives you that one answer. Doesn't dive too much deeper into that. But yeah, it's fleshed out for such a short 22 pages of jam-packed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I recommend this, and I can't wait to run another one.
A few cons for me, depending on how your dungeon master is going to run this, it is going to seem a little on rails. You're literally traveling up a river, a serpentine river. But it addresses that in the module. It says that this is on rails a little bit,
Yes.
but feel free to add this. It gives you examples of how to expand it. They really did think of a lot of stuff to sort of, where we're gonna, I know you guys are gonna say this is a nitpick, so they almost address that right up front. I again, to come back to the artwork, the maps in this at the very back, especially that final little dungeon with Gruac's lair, is pretty poor. And there's some, I really don't like seeing those dated kind of female
Artwork
tropes.
Yeah.
It's kind of cringy in 2022.
Scantily clad armor.
Other than that, I really don't have a lot of bad to say about this. I'm with you. I think this is a fantastic product.
Yeah.
I think Goodman Games, much like their Dungeon Crawl Classics line, which is their bread and butter, they have really talented writers and they have talented artists and they have really wonderfully creative people that know these. Chris Doyle seems to know 5th edition, even in 2014, maybe a little bit better than some of the people at Wizards of the Coast.
Definitely.
You can tell the dude's got some really excellent writing chops, and he has been making adventures for a really long time. This is like if you were watching an 80s Conan movie or Red Sonja or something. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this. Or even something weird like Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper. Just not in a post-apocalyptic setting. I love how it's subversive.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be that very boring goblin.
Yeah,
let's hunt down some goblins. And then, no, it's all these weird fey creatures and frog people. And then you get the giant mosquitoes, the bears, the giant frogs and toads and stuff. Yeah. There's little giant lizards. Everything sort of makes sense and feels cohesive, which I love in an adventure.
Yeah.
The first sign of an excellent product, especially as a dungeon master, where I'm just going through it, I'm reading it, and I'm getting excited because I'm seeing some of these encounters and I'm sort of like, can't wait to do that.
So cool.
Or there's very few of them that are like, I'm going to axe this one, because I do that a lot. In an adventure module, if there's something I don't like, I just get rid of it.
Yeah, especially if we're doing one shot.
Especially if it's a one shot. I think this is excellent. I think it's good for a one shot. I think it's awesome. It's really fleshed out with enough details that you could just use this as the start of a whole campaign, with Gruac just being the first level of this evil Dark Lord, this overlord. It's up to you to flesh all that stuff out. They don't bother doing it, but it's there. I wish Wizards just made little modules like this. I really and honestly do. This is what I want.
Just more palpable.
You can just string a few of these modules together, and that's your campaign. Excellent product. I highly, highly recommend it. How about you?
Me too. Had such a fun time running it. It was exciting. I love outdoor encounters so much, and I'm so glad it was mostly outdoors.
We will put links down to where you can buy this on Goodman Games' website. Drive-Through RPG, I believe you can find this probably on Amazon.com. Check the Netherrealm section down below for the links. Ooh, it's opening. It wants to be played.
Yes, it's the Face Sisters.
We talked a lot about theater of the mind and combat. If you're interested in how to run that properly and you want to learn more about that, we've got a video for you right here.
Don't forget to subscribe. Toll the Dead for notifications. We'll see you next time, Liches. Later.
Bye-bye.